مرحبا جميعا, hello zusammen, всем привет, and hello everyone. Strikoder here. Welcome back to a new episode of the OSCP journey. In today's episode, we're gonna solve an easy Windows machine on HackTheBox called 18. So let's get started. In this machine, we're gonna have access to Microsoft SQL and abuse the MSA for the Windows Server 2025. So without any further ado, let's get started and export the IB. And then I'm going to run. Let me first of all remove everything in this directory and run Nmap. So while running Nmap, please make sure to like, share, leave a comment and subscribe. And we see port 80 currently is open, so I would launch Firefox in order to check if there is any vhost or something like that. HTTP. So proxy is down, and we see it's a bit slow. Hopefully that's not from my internet. So we see 18.hackthebox. That's not what I really wanted. I saw T at the end. I don't really know if that T is a misclick by me or yeah. So it's better to get this. I don't want to rename. Add host. And we added that to our etc hosts. Usually I would use this to generate the host file, but as we can see in here, there is no SMB. We don't have access to the SMB port. We have either WinRM and Microsoft SQL. So let me get this and check my commands. You can get them on the GitHub at Strikoder. And we see cred spray. I would provide the user, which is given, and p, which is this. We can provide that with single quotes, and I would test WinRM, and we had access to Microsoft SQL. So you can check that as well on my GitHub account. We don't have access to WinRM, no local access as well, no access to Microsoft SQL, but we have access as local. I don't want to save the results. And now NXC, Microsoft SQL, IB, and I would start by just running that, then -m. As we can see here, when I solved the machine when it was active, we can check by -L to check which modules we can use. So L for list, and we see enum impersonate. So I would try enum impersonate, and we see we can impersonate appdev. So we can connect to Microsoft SQL and run the Microsoft SQL commands over there and get the impersonate appdev. I don't want to show that since almost all walkthroughs use that method, so I would stick to NXC, and the other one would be so enum impersonate, logins, Microsoft escalation. I believe it has options. So dash dash options. So dash o equal brief ask. Is that how we do it? Brief ask. That's not how we do it. I believe it was like this. Maybe capital O action. So dash dash options again. And we see enumpriv is the default. Priv ask. So it's telling us to try again without localauth, which is not correct. I believe it should be dash o for option, action equals priv ask. If that didn't work, we can check GitHub. So it didn't find any way, so probably we need to authenticate manually. So we are logged in. Now we can execute as login equals to appdev, and now we are appdev, and we can enumerate using select name from sys.databases, and we see the databases. We can use financial planner, select from usernames. We don't have usernames, maybe pass words. So maybe we can show all the tables and then, oh, okay, now we see we have users. So since we added this, but it's not HTTPS, it should be HTTP. We can try to register. We can try to inject some SQL in here or at the email. We can try to log in with our created user and check if we can do anything. However, I will not, just to keep the video simple and short, I will not do that. And let's get this. And we see admin at 18 HackTheBox, and we have this password hash. So vim hashes dot bb kdf2. I will paste this. However, there is no hash cat mode for that, so we need to use a program to convert that to a hashcat mode. So I would search on Google. So this hash is called Werkzeug, or I'm going to go to here and I'm going to or not HTTP, Google. I'm going to Google Werkzeug to hashcat. I will just save some time and use the program that I used. I found this and I used it to solve the machine. So I'll take this, vim Werkzeug to hashcat.python, paste that, Python 3, a single hash, so they need me to copy that. I will now get this and vim hashes.sha256, paste that, then hashcat -m, I believe it was 10.9, yeah, and we run hashcat. Hopefully it will finish fastly. I really hope so, because I'm recording and it's gonna be a bit crazy on the laptop. And I will use admin and the password we get in here. So I love you one. I love it's you. Yeah, you one. And we save that. So we see over here a website. Financial planning made simple. Google that. Exploit. We don't see anything about it in here. Since we are preparing for the OSCP, search exploit financial planning made simple. I would start looking for financial, nothing in here as well. So we get back into here and we remember, that's why I like to keep my files in one place. We remember that we ran Nmap and we saw we have Microsoft SQL and we had HTTP, which means WinRM. So we can try again, but the user, however, we don't know which user is that. So let's try with appdev. Create spray. I love you one. I will try that with Kevin at first. So it's gonna be WinRM and Microsoft SQL. It didn't work. It didn't work either. It didn't work. And didn't work either. We see here it's admin. I don't think that our user is gonna be admin. And we saw appdev previously. Let's try with appdev. Right? It's one word. So appdev 2 and 5. So We think that we are in a bit of trouble, right? However, no, we are not. We missed something using NetExec again. So we see over here the low privileges. We can enumerate and impersonate links whenever we have a machine linked to a SQL server. So we use that to enumerate that. Logins, CPT, dump some stuff through the databases, and so on. Um, I don't think it's in here. So dash dash help it would be. Yeah. So here we see mapping enumeration RID brute. So we can type rr dash dash RID brute and local auth. So just in case, you can check my auth scripts at my GitHub account. I don't have the SQL yet, but it would be added soon. And we have all these users. Let me get them. Them, but I would not save them in Ligolo. Them users.txt, add them, cat users.txt without counting them. Alright. So this didn't work. I would cut by maybe this dash F2. Yeah, that's better. And save that to user names.txt. Now spray or create spray this password with this file. That's why, oops, and that's why I'm really proud of this script. It takes the usernames and spray them against the password, against the domain, against the local auth for both WinRM and SQL, and we have bound. So we can stop and we see Adam Scott. So export all user equals to Adam Scott. Export all pass is equal to I love you one. If I'm not mistaken, yes. So now we can evil WinRM and we are connected. Directory, nothing in here. Directory dash dot and then dash f dot. Oh, not directory 3 dot dash f forward slash f. And we see here the user flag. Let me get back a bit. See what do we have in here. 3 dot. So only our Adam Scott is readable. Let me get back a bit. See if we have. So we had access over the SQL. We are not going to check that. We can check the inetpub, but we only have that without any other vhost. We don't see any Windows subsystem Linux or any other programs we can check the program files folder and see if we have any additional stuff like like a Chrome or Firefox or and so on. However, I believe Python is not default. I think so. Let's try system info. Hopefully that would work. And it sure didn't. So we can get computer info since we have a PowerShell shell, or it doesn't work. I believe it works on the PowerShell, not on the CMD. The get commands, come on. So either the machine is a little bit slow getting the information or something is wrong. Come on. So after a few minutes, we had the results and we see that Windows version is 2009. We can search for kernel exploits. Nah, it's a server data center and the installation of the server is 2025. But the actual Windows version is 2009. So probably our attack vector is going to be from or through this. So where do we go from here? Once more and more, or actually most or all of the walkthroughs prefer to use proxy chains. However, in my case, I like to use Ligolo. So I'm gonna close this, copy Ligolo into here, foreground, upload Ligolo agent.txe, and then in here, let me run Ligolo. I just do not remember how to run Ligolo on the top of my head, so I have them ready in here. Um, and I have a script in here. You can once again check them on my GitHub account, Strikoder. Here is the GitHub. We go into here, repos. I actually update them from time to time. Scripts, enum. Here you can find the auth and the credit check and so on. Here are the commands where you can find the methodology, the tools that I'm going to use right now. So here is the Ligolo. And I'm going to pause a little bit again. So we have successfully uploaded Ligolo agent. So it connects to my machine using this. And we had an error. Is not recognized. Alright, so since I'm here, I couldn't put the file. And let me upload that again. And now we can try and run it. Connection established. We go to session without the S, and we start it. Then in here we need to get our route. So now in this way we set the route as a port forward. So whenever we reach the 240.0.0.1, then we are reaching the machine with as if we made a port forwarding through SSH or through other port forwarding tools. In that case, we can try and run NXC again, but on this, and we see it authenticated, then everything is running smoothly. However, we are going to run LDAP, but on this IB. And Bad Successor, you can search and Google that and read an article how it abuses the MSA. Oopsie. So it uses auctioneer. I don't really know where did I get that user from. I didn't export all the users. So export user Adam Scott, export pass I love you 1, then use this again. I mean, that's strange. No, it works. So what Bad Accessor does, it abuses DMSA, and whenever we have an access over a organizational unit or OU, we can abuse them to get access over the domain controller. However, to do that, we can do that either through sharp successor. I did that when the machine was up and the syntax was a bit hard to me. So I will skip that and I would go NetExec. And in the issues, I found this method is extremely helpful. Bad. Okay, we need to type successor. Let's try with this. Okay, here is it. So we can take this. Okay. But they didn't merge that yet. So we can take that and use this command using through UV. I'm just going to copy paste that. So this UV command, it runs dash dash from, we type get plus and the link and nxc, and we run the nxc without installing NetExec. We run from that branch. In that case, because I have nxc installed through pipex, I don't want to remove it. I have 151. I don't want to remove that just for this specific machine and reinstall that or install maybe an older version. So in that case, I try to use UV instead of pipex. It is more flexible, at least for me. So we can type dash m, actually LDAP. Now we can use it, as you can see here. Now we can use it as the casual NetExec. LDAP, we provide the local port IP, then the user that we have, the path, bad successor, and dash O with for the option. Target OU has the staff 18 HackTheBox. Where did we get that from? We get that from here. We press enter. Fingers crossed. Come on. And it worked. However, in some cases it might not work. So NTB, you need to run these. I will provide them in the description as well, don't worry. In our case, it ran because I was serving a machine and I used the same command, so probably the machines have similar date. So here we have a hash, evil WinRM, administrator, hash, and we are administrator. We go into the desktop. We check we can, yeah, and that's it. So thank you guys for watching, and please make sure to like, share, leave a comment, and subscribe, and see you next time.